morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending where in the world you are, and of course, what time of day or night it is either. Welcome to the podcast Up on the Edge with Al and Owen. I'm your host, Alan Neild, Big Al, or just Al, whatever you want to call me. And each week, I'm going to be joined by regular co-host Owen Sherratt and other special guests along the way too. Right, let's get right into it. This is the podcast Up on the Edge. So what's your favourite Christmas song of all time? Christmas jumpers, yeah.
Driving Home for Christmas.
Driving On for Christmas. Which was Chris Rea, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, he's not going to be driving on this year, though, is he?
No, I don't think the other one is either.
He's isolated, isn't he?
Yeah. Isolate for Christmas.
Hey, Josh is here. How are you, Josh?
Yeah, mate.
I'm not too bad. How are you?
Oh,
right.
Hey. Where are you coming from today? Where are you?
Sunny Staley Bridge, of course.
Sunny Staley Vegas. Wow. You used to have the best nights out over there, you know.
Do you know what I can remember once being in Staley Vegas? And it's probably one of the first times I've been there. And I've been at a wedding at the old town hall there. So we'd gone to this club and there was a bloke in a leotard, drag artist. And we got into this bar and all I could smell was poppers, right? And I went up to the guy and I went, is there any chance you're playing Duran Duran, Girls on Film? Anyhow, he put it on. I got him a drink. Everybody sat down and there's me, giving it all the camera, doing the all dance and that. And when they finished, he just said, have you quite done now? Have you had your fun? Piss off.
Really? I fell in the canal, you know. Is it Tesco's that's right in the centre?
Yeah. So I live just opposite that.
Well, I fell off a canal barge right into the water. Boosh, in you go. And there were a lot of winos sat on a bench outside Tesco's, pissing their pants, laughing at me. And I'm like, yeah, thanks for the help, guys. Yeah, I really appreciate that. What's your favourite Christmas song then, Josh?
I can tell you what my favourite Christmas song isn't. And that's, well, in one of my old cars, when my phone connected to the Bluetooth, it'd play alphabetically the first song in my iTunes, and it was "A Spaceman Came Travelling" by Christa Burr.
Yeah, Christa Burr. Great tune.
And now that song haunts me.
Yeah, it's like most people. Oh, it's most people. It's that bit where he goes, yeah. It's awful. It's awful.
But no, my favourite. I like the Pose. It's a classic, isn't it?
See, I'm sick of hearing that one. It's got overplayed.
What do you think?
Yeah, I guess so.
Hasn't it been banned from certain radio stations?
Yeah, it's banned from Radio 1, but they play it on Radio 2.
What's that all about?
Really?
I don't know.
It's because of the. It's obviously because of the line, isn't it?
Yeah.
Scumbag, you maggot, you cheap, lousy faggot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, how many years has it been out?
Well, it's not just that, mate. Listen, I know so many gay people, lesbians, you know, what are these? I even had a girl work for me that wasn't bothered. You know, she was sort of nondescript or something like that, and she was
asexual, is it? Or
and all that as well.
Yeah,
mate. So and you know what? They don't give a damn half of them.
No,
it's just
like, I think a lot of times it's people getting offended in case other people get offended.
Quite possibly. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, actually, Josh.
Yeah.
Well done, my friend.
Just making it all that now.
You can have that one.
Thank you.
Just writing it down. So, Sync Events then. That's how we know each other. That's who you are as well, isn't it?
Now, I've got to say here now, before Al explained what, obviously what you did, I thought he said Sync and Vents. So I'm thinking, a bit of plumbing and what have you. I didn't realise it was Sync Events. I think I'm on the ball with this one.
Yeah, out of anyone in the world, I'm probably the least person that knows anything about any manual labour.
Funnily enough, Owen's a little bit like that as well.
Yeah. If we get away with it.
Sync and Vents is shit at Sync and Vents. How have you got on during lockdown anyway?
Yeah, it's been tough. Obviously, the events industry's been hit as hard as anyone. A lot of our work sort of disappeared, a lot of potential work right from the start before we even started to lock down or anything like that. But we are lucky that we work in sort of elite sport, and that's our bread and butter.
Yeah.
We work a lot with Man United and Sale Sharks, which is where me and you know each other, Al.
Sale Sharks, come on.
So the good thing about being a sort of sport-focused event production company is that elite sport will come back, as it has proved. You know, conferences and award shows and stuff like that, they're not really necessary, are they? So companies, we know a lot of companies who specialise in that sort of sector who have either already gone bump or are not far away from going bump, because there just doesn't seem to be any return, does there? Even in the next, until everyone's had a vaccine, which 18 months, 2 years, if not more. Do you know, when can you see the MEN being full, or when can you see companies sending 500 people to a conference hall? You know, it's just stuff that I don't think will come back ever in the same way.
No, it's definitely going to be different.
We had I work for Screwfix during the day. That's my sort of bread and butter, I suppose, if you like. And one of the things that a bit of a privilege, really, they'd put us up in a hotel each year, and would have this massive conference, and there'd be 1,200 people sat down in one room.
So what you call the conference?
And yeah, it didn't turn into that ever, you know, at the end of the night, believe me. But you know, you'd have there'd be different people presenting. We'd have like Eamon Holmes on 1 year, and then we'd have, I don't know, another.
Always complaining.
Jason Manford's done it, you know.
Yeah.
He's hosted the events, and then you'd have bands on and DJs on, and they'd run a casino in the place. That's never going to happen again. It can't possibly.
Yeah, well, not for the foreseeable future, anyway, is it? Like you say, it's just not really necessary, is it? And I think one of the things I've taken from this is that you look at what some of the things that have happened throughout, or behaviours that we've all started to take, and how much more they're going to be just commonplace now. Do you know, how many people do you think wash their hands as much as you were supposed to? Or even, do you know, I've noticed even more now. Have you ever been in a room and someone starts coughing?
Yeah, and everyone looks like got the plague.
Everyone says, right, yeah.
You can't cough anymore, can you?
No.
You can't. No, I was sat there. So throughout lockdown as well, I also got a job at Tesco, just to help the bills. And I was at the canteen the other day, and I swallowed my drink the wrong way, and I sat there going, just getting redder and redder, you know.
Yeah, you know it's bad when people would rather you fart than cough.
Yeah,
you know. It's,
yeah.
I used to do that to hide it.
I think a fart's probably more socially acceptable these days than what a cough is.
That's what you had to eat, Al, you know.
Well, until it comes out, you can get COVID from a fart, then,
Yeah. Oh, dear God. Stay away from the sprouts this Christmas. Do you like my Christmas jumper, by the way? Pull me, I'm a cracker, it says.
It's lovely.
How cool's that?
Yeah, but look at mine. Mine's chewy.
Will you stop playing with your nipples?
Look at that. Chewy. Look
Chew
at that, baby.
Oh. Where's yours, Josh?
Oh, I didn't get the memo, did I? That it was a Christmas podcast. I also listened earlier to your episode with the Wookiee.
Yeah.
Can I just say how terrible all of your Wookiee impressions were?
Well, let's hear yours then.
Yeah.
Come on.
Let's hear it.
Well, I was listening to this thinking, I'm that guy in the friendship group who people go, you've got a great Wookiee impression. So I was wondering whether to bring that up, but then seeing as you're wearing a Wookiee Christmas jumper, then I think I've got to let it go, really.
We really, really should get him on now, but I don't know whether we can get him out of his pit. He'll be up at Crazy Clock for the breakfast show, but go on, give us your best Wookiee impression. Do it again. Do it again.
Right.
That's it. That is a Wookiee. Wow. Oh my goodness. We've got to get the boy on again, haven't we?
I know. I'll have to for that.
I think that should be a theme now. Every guest you get on should have to do a Wookiee impression.
Do you know we've abused that lad for the last 10 years?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh man. It was
lad.
Cringe-worthy sometimes. We put him through so much, didn't we, mate? And he was employed ultimately to make sure we didn't step over the edge and fall down that big ravine.
Yeah, that's the referee between me and Al.
He failed every day. Yeah, it was ridiculous. We just seen how far we could push him, you know.
The best one was when you were in one week and I was doing which biscuits are the best of dunk. And I come out with a phrase, right, I'm going to dump me ginger nuts in this tea. He just faces just...
I think that's the lure of radio, though, isn't it? It's to see how far you can hang your feet over the edge without actually falling.
Yeah, I'll touch you in the water.
That's the one, yeah.
Well, do you see that the section on Scott and Chris's show on Radio 1, the innuendo bingo?
No.
Have you seen that?
No.
So, well, obviously, it does no longer exist because of COVID, but the premise was that they'd have a celebrity or a guest in and they'd play innuendo bingo. So what the premise was they'd sit two people opposite each other, facing, and I mean like inches away from each other, so that and they get listeners to send in innuendos that they heard on BBC TV or, you know, like the Great British Bake Off with the soggy bottoms and all the rest of it, you know, that kind of stuff. But before they played the clip, both guests had to take a big mouthful of water and hold the water in their mouth, so that when the funny line came out, they just exploded and just
spat it on each other.
Faces. But
brilliant.
Listen, it was brilliant. But that's another thing where they obviously the innuendos, everyone knew what they were talking about, but it was safe to play because it didn't actually mention anything specifically rude.
Yeah, yeah. We'll have to remember that one for when things are a little bit, you know. Maybe we should put up one of them perspex screens between us and just, we could do it over this, couldn't we? You know, just spit on our Mac screens or something.
Yeah, just get a new laptop every show.
So do you listen to Radio 1 a lot then?
Yeah, I'd probably say I'm big into my podcasts, I'd say. But yeah, Radio 1 would probably be my go-to station. And I love a bit of smooth as well.
But if you live in Staley, Vegas, why are you not listening to Tameside Radio?
Probably a good question.
Okay, it was a good answer then.
I guess it's one of them things, like the type of football team you support when you grow up. My mum always had Radio 1 on when she drove us to school, so Radio 1's always been what I've put on when I've got in the car.
Right.
Yeah, but if it's Radio 1 when you went to school, then follow the sequences. You'd be on to Radio 2 now and still listen to Steve Wright.
Yeah, let's see if I can work out, right, just how old he is. Who was the breakfast presenter on Radio 1 at the time you were listening? On the way to school?
I think it was Chris Moyles.
Chris Moyles, the saviour of Radio 1.
The saviour of Radio 1, who the Wookie was the producer for.
Yeah, on Radio X.
Really?
Yeah.
On Radio X, yeah. So you're in the presence of greatness, you see. So ultimately, Chris Moyles, all his stuff he learnt from us because he was using our producer.
Oh, that's a claim to fame now, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got many claims to fame anyway, Al.
Stop it. Hey, listen, I've taken one of the presenters of Tameside Radio to task today as well, Owen.
Have you really?
Because I posted on Facebook, right?
Oh, yes.
You know me in Facebook.
I do.
About the podcast. And this, I'm not going to mention any names, but this drive time presenter at Tameside Radio was thinking that this whole podcast that we do here was about the radio presenters of the former Radio Cough Cough.
Right.
Which absolutely isn't the case. But he was kicking off saying that, you should be getting on all these presenters from 1999. Why? What's he got to do with you, dickhead? You do what you do and I'll do what I do. Thank you very much. He's gone quiet now.
Has he?
He's probably
gone to bed.
As well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, thing is, he probably listens to the podcast and steals the ideas, mate.
Probably, yeah.
That's what normally happens.
Oh,
So then, Josh, in your events, digressing, have you worked with anyone really good? You're proper standout. You think, you know what, I'd love to work with him again, other than Al, obviously.
If we're taking Al out of the equation. You know, working with Man United, we work with the players quite a lot, and some fit the stereotype of they don't even acknowledge that you exist or that you're there. But one person who every single time we've worked with him is a stand-up guy, comes over, shake your hand, and that's Juan Mata.
Juan Mata, yeah.
He'll just come over and have a chat. We stood there once. We were doing some stuff for a photo shoot down at the training ground, and he just came and stood next to us and just started
Yeah.
asking us what was going on.
Who's Juan Mata?
Who's Juan Mata? Juan Mata
He's,
is the. But I cried when he went to United because I wanted him at City.
Yeah.
Is he the manager?
No, he's an outstanding class footballer, believe me. And the thing is with him, if you read about him, he loves Manchester. He loves the music. He loves the weather. He's moved his dad over. He set his dad up with a restaurant, I believe.
Yeah.
And he just loves the place.
He's just a nice guy.
Yeah, it's a bit like when we had Pablo Zabaleta. He was the same. He loved Manchester, loved the people. And when he left City, they had the big announcement on the pitch and a farewell to him. And it's weird in a bloke with an Argentinian accent with strains of the Mancunian wrist going in and out. Oh, yeah, it's funny. But cried, because they do become part. And one matters when and people. And he likes the place. He loves the clubs, loves the people. And like you say, he just goes on public transport. He don't care.
What do you think about what happened was it Paris Saint-Germain last week? The racist incident.
It's a strange one, that, yeah. Apparently the story goes that the fourth official was getting a little bit of grief off someone on the sideline, as I think is standard for every single football game.
Yeah.
And apparently he called the ref over and said, book that black guy. In earshot of a lot of other players and stuff like that. Well, I think the problem came, he's Romanian, and apparently, again, this is just what I've read on social media, but he used the word Negro, which
is black.
Obviously,
Romanian.
Well, I think apparently he was trying to say that it was a language barrier, but I think that the larger problem comes with sort of, I don't think he was intentionally racist, but it's one of them things that was calling him that black guy necessary.
Yeah.
Would in the reverse situation, would he have said book that white guy? He probably wouldn't. He'd have probably just said,
yeah, that guy.
It's a can of worms anyway,
yeah.
isn't it? But,
of course it's
I think
I'm not sure it is a can of worms though, Josh, because I think if anybody was to refer to me as that white guy or that fat guy or that bald guy or whatever, I get really pissy with them. Pissy with them. So, what is it? Seriously, what is he doing?
Out the corner of my eye, I just saw something flashing then.
Yeah.
Yeah, get used to that with Owen Sherratt, I'm telling you. Yeah. True story, right? The amount of times that I was on air at Radio, can I mention it now? Can I mention,
of course you can. Yeah, you can.
I mention that it's 96.2 The Revolution? Because I've been threatened to be sued with this, Josh. Seriously, right?
Really?
Yeah. Let's not go there. Anyway, so I'd be on air, and what would happen is, and it always happened on Friday, and I'll tell you why it was a Friday, right? Because Steve Penk would come off air at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever time it was. I'd go on, we would pass, he'd give me a hug, he'd get in his car, and he'd drive home. He'd usually deleted all the logs as well, which is all the songs that he got lined up to play, just because he could, and he knew it annoyed me. He'd get in his car and he'd clear off, right? So from that point on, anything and everyone was fair game, right? So you're trying to do what they call live reads, which isn't the easiest thing in the world anyway, because you're always tripping over your words and one thing and another, or you'll see a word that you might think it says, I don't know, fish, and you say piss instead or something like that, right? And then you look up to the window and there will be a bare ass pressed against the window while you're doing live radio. And that is the kind of thing that these guys used to do to you all the time.
Yeah.
Not good, not big, not clever.
Good thing is I was very professional. I could just carry on straight through. I was pretty good at that. And then laugh afterwards.
Nigel, right, Tarquin Ramrod, who lives near you, funnily enough, he lives at Mosley, I think, doesn't he, Nigel?
Yes, over that way, yeah.
He's walked through the studio while I've been doing links. They call them links when your microphone's live.
Yeah.
He's walked through the studio, start bollock naked. The door comes up and he walks in. He'll pick something up and just walk back out again. And it's just like, what has just happened to me? It's like a rugby dressing room. That's what it is. Speaking of rugby, let me ask you this, because you've got close associations with Sale Sharks. What's going on with Steve Diamond?
You know what? I've absolutely no idea, and that's the honest truth. I think even Paul Deacon put a statement out
So
yesterday.
Just before you go any further, so let me just explain, yeah? So you guys, obviously you both know football. I'm probably a little bit more rugby-wise than I do football. Not a lot, but a little bit. But Steve Diamond was he was the head coach at Sale Sharks, and Paul Deakin was his second in command. Now, the other day, it was announced that Steve Diamond was leaving Sale Sharks after 10 years in charge with immediate effect, and nobody seems to have a clue what's going on. Josh, you're the inside man. What's going on?
Honestly, I have no idea. And Paul Deacon put a statement out saying that he only found out yesterday morning, obviously before it got announced fully, but he came into work as normal on Tuesday, and that's when he found out. There's been quite a few rugby podcasts I've listened to today that have speculated stuff, or rather speculated, just sort of talked through all the options, and none of them really make sense because we're 3 games into a new season.
Yeah,
we've not been playing fantastic, but we've won 2 out of the first 3.
Yeah,
we're sat 4th, and it doesn't seem
it's not
to
a
be
performance thing, is it?
It doesn't seem to be, no. And yeah, I think more than anything, it's not just like sacking a manager. Dimes was he's done everything in his time there. He's been the cook, the cleaner, the boot washer, the everything, and it's very hard to imagine that club without him in charge.
Yeah, I remember seeing him round at Edgley Park when they were at Edgley Park and seeing him knocking around there.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's a strange one, and I'm at a bit of a loss to what's going on.
I tell you what I've done as well. Shouldn't do it, but I did do it. You know, he's got family that work for the club, still work for the club, and I've even texted them and said, "What's going on? Is everything all right?" And it is just drawing a blank. I'm not getting replies.
Yeah.
I'm gutted.
Yeah,
I actually feel as though my right arm's been cut off. It's Steve Diamond. He's a top bloke. What's gone on? What's he done? I mean, you were talking about this. We had a phone call the other day, me and you, and you said the only people that could really sack Steve Diamond from Sale Sharks would be the owners. Now, do you think that's happened?
I struggle to see any scenario that makes sense, and I've gone through everything I can think of, but I guess in 2020 you never know, do you?
No.
You think you can go through any logic scenario, and then as this year has proved, something completely out of the box is the actual answer. So yeah, I mean, I'm just waiting to find out. I'm sure we will hear something eventually. I think the amount of time he's been at the club, I think he deserves more than a 100-word press release to explain what's gone on and stuff like that. I mean, I imagine it's quite raw at the minute, whatever's happened. So I imagine within time there will be some sort of, maybe not a full explanation of the facts to everyone, but more of a tribute and a bit, maybe we read between the lines and understand a little bit more what's gone on.
Just to put this into context, if this was a comedy gig, this is on a similar scale of Peter Kay cancelling his tour. It's that big, isn't it?
I think one thing that, like I said before, it's not like sacking a normal coach. I don't think it's a stretch to say that elite rugby in the Northwest might not be around today if it wasn't for him. You know, for so many years, until Simon and Orange and Jed Mason came in, he was operating on half the budget of every other team in the Premiership, and we never got relegated. Yeah. In fact, every other year we finished in the top 6 and made Champions Cup, which is the equivalent of the Champions League. And I think when he first took over in 2012, we were flirting with relegation, and he came in, signed a couple of players, and through the skin of our teeth, sort of dragged us away from the relegation battle. And since then, we've always every now and again we flirted with relegation, but we've never seriously looked like going down. And for for a club who is spending half what everybody else is spending, and having a squad of 30, 32 when some people are operating with squads of 55 players in an attritional game like rugby, you know, that at any time you can have sort of 10, 12 players injured. Well, if that happened to Sale, half the team probably have to get their parents' permission to play.
Well, I remember during the World Cup as well, let's be brutally honest, we must have had a dozen players out on international duty as well.
Yeah, well, we had 4 players in the World Cup final, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's a strange one. I tried to just sort of see the positives, you know. We know how big of a character Dimes was from knowing him. And, and it will be sad to see him go. But, you know, maybe someone can bring some fresh ideas and get a bit more out of that group of players. But, yeah.
Let's just hope he's all right, and let's just wish him well, because he's been all right for me. You know?
Yeah, and me as well. You know, I was a Sale fan before I got this job, so I still have to pinch myself sometimes when I'm around the players and stuff like that.
Yeah, I get it. One of the things I was talking to you about before, Owen, is that, and I never mentioned to you, Josh, that I was going to bring this up. So I can't wait for your reaction with this one. I mentioned, Owen, that Josh wanted to do and build a podcast himself.
Yeah. Al, if we can do it, anybody can.
Well, it's not about it, I suppose, isn't it?
So what would you if you were to do a podcast then, what would it be about, Josh?
Well, for a bit of context, so I've worked in events now since I finished uni about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But throughout COVID, it sort of given me a bit of chance to, I don't know, take a bit of a step back. Life seems to go a lot slower, didn't it? It allowed people a bit of space to sort of sit back and have a look at their life without living 90 miles an hour every day. One thing I've always been interested in, and it's something that I read a lot about just in my spare time and always have, is sort of psychology. Now, not sort of the clinical route of psychology, but I've always been sort of fascinated by this idea of human potential and how humans are capable of so much more than the average person sort of lives their life.
Yeah, because you only use a small percentage of your mind, don't you, at any one time?
Yeah, I mean, I think a perfect example is the 4-minute mile, Roger Bannister. So for thousands of years, it's written that people, you know, try to run, maybe not obviously time to a 4-minute mile, but scientists were saying that physiologically, the human body cannot run a 4-minute mile. It's impossible. So Roger Bannister trained for, I guess, quite a few years. And one thing he always spoke about was he had this clear vision in his mind that he was going to run a 4-minute mile. And he trained and trained and trained with that in his mind. And he pictured himself running that 4-minute mile. And he accomplished it, I think, in 1960, so something around there. But the fascinating thing was, within 12 months of him doing it, it's rumoured that 24 other people ran a sub 4-minute mile. So why, for hundreds of years, could no one do it? And then once it was seen to be possible, suddenly, and now hundreds of people have done it. I think a 4-minute mile is not actually that impressive anymore. I mean, impressive for the average person, but for someone who trains as an athlete, a 4-minute mile is no special barrier anymore. So I think when you translate that to life, and there's something that I felt sort of thing is you go through life and suddenly you turn around and it's 6 months since you last had that thought, and you can't really remember making any big specific decisions, but you've got 6 months further down the line. And I think it's this idea that the subconscious mind sort of rules your day-to-day behavior and your day-to-day decisions. So to get back to your question, that's what I'm really interested in. I'm speaking to people about mindset and about their ideas of life, of what they've lived, what they've learned, you know, and yeah, that in a crux of it, that would be what I'd like to do a podcast about.
So effectively, motivational speaking, or, you know, pushing the barriers, the boundaries, and one thing and another, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, the idea, I would love to learn so much about this that I can not be an expert, but know enough about it so that I can help other people. I think that's one of the big things, is that I feel a bit of a purpose in that, in the way that, or I would feel I had a purpose by helping people. And that's something that I think gets you out of bed in the morning when it's cold and it's wet and you don't really want to do it, but you wake up with a smile on your face and you crack on, sort of thing. Don't get me wrong, I love working in events, but since discovering this and having the time to think about it, it's something that really sort of ignites a bit of a fire in my belly and fills me with that sort of passion and purpose to really go after it, sort of thing.
Just going back to the Roger Bannister thing, I mean, you got to take a couple of things into context there. 1960, the best trainers wouldn't have been as good as Dunlop Green Flash, right? And he still did the 4-minute mile. Secondly,
Sorry, hang on a second. Let me just pick you up on that point. Dunlop Green Flash are still the comfiest trainers I've ever worn in my life. Point number 2, please.
Another thing you're saying about people achieving stuff. With you working in events, do you think that sort of brought that side of your concepts of life out? Because obviously you work alongside of, you said before, Paul Heaton, Clint Boone, and they've obviously set out from being kids in the street kicking a ball about, they've gone on to be massive worldwide stars. And obviously they've had that perseverance and that ability, and they've had to push themselves. And the likes of Clint and Paul, they come through in an era where you didn't have these talent shows every 10 minutes on the telly. You had to make your own way. So you think that's the thing that sort of made you, in the back of your mind, think, well, hang on a minute.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like you said, I've been quite lucky enough to work with some like sort of fantastic people. Just to name a few: the editor of GQ, the inventor of LinkedIn, the music guys we spoke about, the sport guys we spoke about, and I've always sort of sat there in the technical area, sort of calling the show and running the production, but also just having another eye on thinking, I want to do something with my life that lets me go on a stage like that and talk about things that I've achieved, and not be the guy sat in the technical area pushing the buttons, for that person. I almost like to see yourself, do you want to live life sat in the sidelines, or do you want to get on the pitch? And yeah, I think COVID has given me this sort of like a light bulb moment of going, I'm like looking around in the stands, sat on the sideline, going, why am I sat here? I want to be out there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's sort of a weird light bulb moment, like I said, where I'm like, I'm going out there now and I'm playing.
Yeah. See, that's a great analogy, that. And one of the reasons I got into radio is I love radio. I love the persona of it and the way it all works, and the fact you think about, and you actually, you catch people's mind. I love late night radio because it's people on their own that generally listen. And I always wanted to do that, and I pushed. But I went through a spell where I got caught playing out the sausage, so that took a back seat when I left school. I got married very, very young, so I'd concentrate on that. And then the time went on and I had more time to see me laughing at, Al, it's true. And I could push myself to do that. But I find that in the business of the radio, you had to be cutthroat, and I've not got that cutthroat.
I'm the same. I'm absolutely the same.
No.
I like to be liked too much to be.
It's not even that. I've not got it in me to stab someone in the back, and there's a lot of that goes on, and you find that in a lot of industries, and there's very, very few really, really genuinely nice people come out and shine. Everyone seems to have that little bit of an edge, and I don't know why, and I could be totally wrong, but I don't think I am somehow. But just when you're saying about how people think, I have a theory about life and the afterlife and deja vu and things like that, which I think we'll probably do a podcast on that at some point. But what's your take on that, Josh?
On what sort of the spiritual side of stuff?
Are you a believer, or do you think it's all tosh?
I mean, one thing that I think is fascinating and is this idea of the subconscious mind. So, have you heard of the law of attraction?
Yeah.
The way that works. What you speak into the world, the universe will give back to you. Now, I've sort of done a lot of digging on this, and what I think it is actually you're telling your subconscious mind what you want to focus on and what you want to set your goals and what you want from life. So then your subconscious mind understands that It's like, do you know when you get a new car?
Yeah.
How many times do you see that car on the road once you've bought it?
Oh, tell me about it.
All the time,
Hey,
don't you? Right?
I'm the only one with this bad name. Everybody's got one, yeah.
The reason for that is because now it's in your mind, and your subconscious mind is picking up going, oh yeah, that's the car I've got. The same amount of them cars drove past you before you had it. But your subconscious mind was not telling you. So the same way works with this. So if you want to lose weight and you tell yourself, I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to lose weight, then when you go for your dinner and you sat between, am I going to have that or am I going to have that? Your subconscious mind goes, you're going to have that. And you sort of swayed more to go down that route. And I think that applies for a lot of other things as well, that without you even consciously understanding that is why you've done it.
Yeah.
It's your own brain that has just worked that out. And this is what really fascinates me. So I think a lot of stuff that we deem spiritual, we deem to be coincidence or fate or stuff like that, is actually just, we don't sort of realise that our mind has such a bigger impact on the world we live in, sort of thing.
What I think we should do, genuinely, I think that we should pencil in the diary right now, episode number 2, based on spiritualness and the law of attraction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know where you got the law of attraction from.
The Secret.
Right. So, and how many people know The Secret?
Probably not that many.
Not that many.
I don't know The Secret. So
There
that's
you
a
go.
secret.
Josh, it's been fantastic. We've got to go. Good luck with the podcast. Who's going to be your first guest? Who would you like? Ideally, who would you like to be your first guest? Don't put any barriers up. No barriers are allowed.
We're talking anyone in the world.
Anybody in the world.
Even now.
Oh God, that's put me on the spot. I'd probably go for, just because it's something that I think is realistic as well, is, you know, Mark Jennings, a former Sale player, who went through, we haven't got time to go into what he went through, but went through an ordeal that was terrible.
Ridiculous.
And now is sort of into ultra sort of cardio training. He ran 100 kilometers on a treadmill in 12 hours, and he had no music, nothing else apart from a piece of paper in front of him that said quit. And so just understanding a powerful turnaround like that would be fantastic. So yeah, I'll go with him.
Mark Jennings. We need to get hold of Mark Jennings, Owen. Right? Write that down. Right? And we need to get him on before Josh gets in. Josh, it's been fantastic, mate. Great to talk to you.
Great to meet you, mate. You take care.
All right, buddy.
See you later.
Bye now.